Hi everybody, so it is the perennial question, and it's the question asked in field after field after field of study: which is the best when it comes to wind turbines? We very often think that this is the best. It's a horizontal axis wind turbine which spread across ancient Greece and been grinding corn in most of Europe and pumping water across the Americas for centuries. But it is not the first turbine. Arguably, this in Nashdafan in Iran is the first turbine, and it's a vertical axis wind turbine. And ever since then, of course, there has been the argument, which is better, horizontal or vertical? Because we often think that what's best is most efficient, and that's really to do with our modern view. In our modern view, more people worship efficiency than anything else. Efficiency and best aren't the same thing. Efficiency actually is a really simple concept. We have a certain amount of power going into the wind turbine in terms of the wind blowing over it, and then a certain amount coming out in terms of the electricity produced. We divide one by the other, multiply by 100, and we get a percentage efficiency. It's a pretty trivial thing to calculate. So efficiency is lovely because it's so simple. But what's best is a much broader concept, because it's not unknown that wind turbines have problems. They have problems that have got nothing to do with the efficiency. They have problems in terms of things like the environmental damage, the CO2 for the concrete, the fact that the blades don't decompose. Just a huge range of issues revolve around wind turbines that are not dealt with by efficiency and are dealt with when you have a broader concept of what best actually is. The truth is, of course, it's just belief. And at the end of the day, it comes down to belief. That's because at the end of the day, people think differently. That's a shocker. We believe different things. Some people believe that we should generate as much electricity as we can just to keep our drone flying 15 minutes longer, and some people think that we shouldn't let people in Africa die because we're not keeping vaccines cool. There's just a whole range of what people think and believe. There is no one thing. There are things that people cluster about, but there's never one thing that everybody believes. Everybody believes something different is important, and because of that, for them, something different is going to be best. Of course, there are a whole host of designs working on different principles, and all of them claiming to be the most efficient ever. Why? Well, because that's what we buy, so it's no real surprise. But it does beg the question, when you get paraded with that kind of stuff, which one is best? Of course, at the end of the day, what's best is what's best for you. And the best thing you can do is something, rather than doing nothing, waiting for the best to turn up, however you might measure best. That's why there are so many wind turbine designs, because a wind turbine design is the answer to a problem. And there are as many problems as there are people. So although it's quite frustrating, particularly in a video that's titled "Which is the best wind turbine?" to be told that there isn't one, that you can't just point at something and say that's the most efficient, therefore that's the best, because efficiency, it's far too narrow a concept. Best is a much broader concept, and a simple question, for example, where do you live? If you live in a flat, you are not putting up a horizontal wind turbine because the chances are nobody's going to let you. So you need to look somewhere else. What kind of thing do you want to do? Do you want to buy one and just have the answer, or do you want to make one because you enjoy the making process, or because you can't afford it and it's much cheaper to make it, or do you have a concern about upcycling and recycling? All of these things are going to be important in the decision you make, in which case I would say what is the best turbine is quite simply what is the best turbine for you, and that involves you in answering and asking a few simple questions that will hone you down on what particular style, design of turbine there is that's going to suit you. And the chances are there is one. And if there isn't one, well, it's an opportunity to invent one that suits you. And there will be people who share a commonality in your experience that will also be useful for. But it will not be useful for everybody. Unfortunately, there is no one pill for all ills, and efficiency is not the best measure of a wind turbine, according to my view. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to like and subscribe.